Hey everybody, so just wanted to get a little rundown of some of the updates that are going on and talk about if anybody has any questions about, and really this is just more like a little tutorial so you guys can see a little bit about what the progress and how the game's played, and if any of you guys have questions about anything in the game and how it works, be glad to talk about it, and hopefully we'll get a league started soon. So just want to go ahead and go through league creation and sort of how it runs and all the updates. The game's pretty much ready to go, other than balance and lots of little things. But as far as all the major components, they're all pretty much there, except for the sort of all-star thing that I'm gonna have at the end of the season. Hey Zero. But it's all pretty much in. Still lots of tweaking, and big thing is gonna be lots of balance. That's what that's what would be helpful when we start running a league, is getting some of the balance done. Because when we're actually playing it, we actually care. That's when we're gonna start to see where there are things that need to be fixed as we go through it. So I'm gonna go through the league creation, talk about some of the new additions, and that way, this will kind of serve as a little mini tutorial as we get closer, before release, so you can kind of see what's going on. All right, so go to league creation, create a new league. Obviously, you enter your save name. You can now select the number of factions and the number of regular season battles. And so I'm just going to leave it at 24 and 12 for here as a default. That's probably what we might use for the league, is what I'm thinking. I think that looks like a good number, but we'll maybe tweak it 1 or 2 battles. And we can also change this each season as well, as far as the number of battles. So hit create, and then here now the faction editor, now it uses a lot of the logos. We'll go ahead and use some of the default logos. I'm gonna I have a lot of default logos. I'm gonna be adding a bunch of logos. A couple people, Anzlik has already posted some. So if you guys post logos that you want for your league or anything, if you use the if you end up using the Placeit link that I pasted, then you can use the Placeit link, and then that Placeit link will be able to use that. I'll be able to use those logos, and I can actually put them in the game as real default logos, because I have an account with them, so I can kind of basically use what you created and recolor it and use it for the league. And so then it automatically selects logos. The nice thing is it automatically picks colors from the logo. So as it generates a league, it already kind of picks colors for the faction based on the logo, based on the most common colors from the logo. So it tends to do that. And so you can set up all your guys. You can change which teams are AI and which teams aren't AI. I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to change the Nords from AI. I'm going to make the Shield AI, not AI. We're going to have run with the Shield. Faction editor here, and then you can also change your background field image. So in the battle, the one thing that I do want to add is that, so each week, and you'll see this later, each week the games for the week will be hosted by a single faction, and so each week you will be and also what I'm going to have is I'm going to have that each field you will be able to select certain buffs or debuffs or special things that can occur with the field on the fields for that week, and so each faction will have their own sort of special home field, and so they'll be able to select some extra things they can do. So exit here. I'll go ahead and just do a full draft real quick. I'm not gonna really pick a lot of stuff here. Here's a draft. Still got some looks improvements as far as the draft is concerned. Most of the faces are in, looking better. I've still got some tweaks to make on some of these, add some textures to them, but they're getting there. The faces are starting to look a little bit better. And then here's how much it's going to cost for these guys, so that shows up. What also happens, the way money is done in this game is a little different from Brutal Ball, in that you will be starting from the day after the draft. So at the end of the draft, all the players on your roster, you will have to give them their money, and then for each game that they play in, you pay them again. So every game that they play, you pay them again. So you have to pay everybody once for the season that's on your roster, but then as they play in the games, they will be paid again for each time they play. And then if you sign a free agent, you have to pay them when you sign them, but then you also pay them only when they play. And so you do have salary ranks a lot like in Brutal Ball, but it works a little bit differently in this game. So here we go. Here we got a bunch of guys on here. Any fun names look good? Let's see. Let's find somebody. Rum, Raggett, Roland. Who should I pick? Let's see. I don't like any of these. None of these. Omni Melter, Drakon. Boy, he looks weird. I will go ahead and we will start with the Sentinel Omni Melter. And so I will draft him, pick him. And then let's see, round 2. The AI drafted all there. So let's see, round 2. Let's look for another funny name. We'll just take Rose the Orc. Oh, looks like he's a storm. And so we'll grab Rose the Orc. And then from now on, I'm just going to real quick click through and run through the draft real fast and get us through all of these guys real quick. All right, so here's our roster. So here's our roster, our homepage, roster screen. Still a lot of things are getting fixed. Slowly working on things, but you can switch and you can go take a look at all the rosters. So here's my roster, and you can kind of see our guys. We got improvements. So Omni Melter turns out to be pretty good. He's really saying not a very good leader, not very brave. Good power, interesting, and he is a sentinel, so he can throw enemies away. Hey Sega, how's it going? So here's our little team that we kind of got. We drafted. I do have obviously we do have variants in now. If you take a look at the screen though, some things to point out. Over here you can toggle bench and starter, so you can tag somebody as a starter, and if they're tagged as a starter, that means if they are available, they will start. So you don't have to come back and forth tagging your starters. So if they're for some reason are unavailable, like they're exhausted after a battle, then they will still be a starter, but they just won't play the next fight. But they'll automatically come in whenever they're available again. And then if you bench somebody, that means they're going to be on the bench, and they will not start unless your team runs out of players. So they will not start unless your team runs out of players. This allows you to set where they're going to be in the battle. So Omni Melter. I'm going to go ahead and put him in the front middle. We're going to pop him in the front middle. So Omni Melter has his battle position set. So all the other ones, it's just going to use the AI. And the AI sets up tanks in the front, DPS next, range guys using the back. So it tries to do all that as best as possible. Environmental weapons. How do you mean by that, Zero? I do want to add, I think that would be a neat thing to do for the home turfs, where there's something special that happens. You know, it could be just buffs and debuffs. That would be the simplest thing. But it would be neat if there was some sort of obstacle or some sort of an issue, and maybe environmental traps, environmental weapons might be interesting. We do have summons in the game as well. But yeah, that kind of stuff would all be possible to add. So I think that would be something, yeah, that would be kind of a neat thing that could be added for some other things. The problem with traps might be AI. That can be kind of annoying for them to use it properly. But it would be something to think about, definitely. All right, so then going across here, this is their popularity. So this is how the fans feel about the player. Now, what is it? Well, okay, actually, let me take a look at that. So how they feel. I forgot to take a look at this. So here you can change your preferences. And your preferences, and I need to get this this needs to be darker. But when you take a look at your preferences, you not only is it preferences for the different races, and this will determine what the AI will draft for you, but it also preferences for characteristics. Are they brave? Are they a star? Are they a killer? Are they defensive? Are they a support? Are they cheap? Are they a winner? Are they a tank, DPS, balanced, or are they ranged? And so this is going to help with the popularity, and you can change this. You can change it for all the different factions, right? You can go through all different factions and change it. And so you can change that at any time. And so that's going to determine how popular a player is. And that popularity is going to have different things to do with, you know, retaining them and them keeping and other stuff. And it's also just kind of a fun thing to track how popular a player is with your current faction. So that's what that shows on there. This is how much their salary is, how much they cost. And so if they play in a battle, that's how much you'll be charged. Up here, you can see the salary, how much they're being paid. And I'm 24th ranked, so I got the lowest salary in the league. So I've spent the least. But then when we do a fight, we'll keep spending. So if you play more players, then they're more expensive players, and they're going to cost more, right? Your team's going to cost more. But the difference between this and Brutal Ball is playing is the only way. I mean, there are newspaper events that can give you experience points, but getting experience points is the only way to level up, and really you only get experience points for playing the game. So it's a little different than Brutal Ball in that you really, in order for you guys to get better, they have to play. So a little different than Brutal Ball. Because you're risking a bit more in this game because death is about 4 times as high as Brutal Ball. So, you're probably going to have a couple players die per season. That's a pretty normal thing that's going to occur. And then this shows you their role: tank, balanced, DPS, or ranged, their race, and then, of course, their abilities. I'll go through these real quick. Overall, attack rating, defense rating, these are pretty self-explanatory. Strength is their damage, speed. Not only how fast they move on the field, it's a little bit about their initiative. The biggest thing it's important for is retaliation. So when you attack somebody, they have a chance to retaliate if they're fast enough. So there's a role checking speed versus speed, and that gives you a chance to retaliate if somebody attacks you. Stamina controls energy. It also controls your ability to recover after a battle. Constitution is not your hit points, but your damage resistance. Accuracy, how well you hit. Dodge, how well you avoid getting hit. Control is mostly your status effects. Agility is your ability to avoid status effects. Power has to do with your special class ability mostly. So your class ability is mostly controlled by your power. And then brutality, your chance of crits, which cause injuries, and they do more damage. And then durability, your ability to avoid injuries or avoid crits, so avoiding damage that way. And then intelligence, it's going to do with personality events, also events during battle. I'm not going to go through each of the. Well, I guess I will. They're up there. So it has to do mostly with causing in battle events. The higher your intelligence, the more of those you'll have. Sanity is the opposite. The lower your sanity, the more bad events, what are called mental breakdowns, you'll have. Leadership and bravery. Bravery is more like your personal bravery in battle. Players will run from battle. And then leadership is more your ability to make your teammates brave. And then dedication, how hardworking you are, your chance to get maybe more experience points in the off season. Also, when you do level up, you get more choices with level up, the higher your dedication. And then loyalty, how well you're likely to stay on the team. Is one of the biggest things. Altruism is kind of like the opposite of greed. So that way they're all in the same. So it's basically greed, but just the higher, the less greedy you are in this case, right? And then, you have your players up here. They have their special ability for their class. And then you can also claim free agents here. I'll go ahead and click claim free agents. Here, list free agents. You can always claim them during the season, and you can just put a claim in. The thing with claiming a free agent, though, is that when you click on them, you don't get them right away. You put a claim in for them. Other teams can also put in a claim. Here, this number here is how much they prefer your faction over other factions. So this number will change. This number is based on appeal and salary rank. So the lower your salary and the higher your appeal, so very similar to Brutal Ball, the more likely you are to get this player. So because I have a low salary, I'm going to go ahead and keep Jags in here. So because I have a low salary, that's why my numbers are going to be a little bit higher. And so you can see some people really want to play for you and other ones don't so much. And so that has it changes between each faction. And so you can see we're 24th in salary. And so that's one of the reasons why we are so high on that. That's why players want to play for us right now. So you want the salary rank to be low, a high number, right? So 1 is high rank, so that's not good. It means you have the highest salary. And then appeal is the opposite. You want that to be closer to 1, appeal. So, but right now it's just kind of, these don't really matter at this point because we haven't started everybody's appeal is 0 to start the game. All right, so there you have it. We have our battle schedule over here. You can check the week schedule. You can see the standings. You can see the stat screen for the league. Here is for copy and pasting. This will be important for our online leagues. You can copy and paste roster codes. So instead of having to take pictures and all this stuff, you say copy your roster code, and all the data from your roster, I can paste it in my version of the game, and it'll set your roster, everything you've set from your bench, your starters, where they are in the battle position, all that stuff. Also, whatever free agents you decide to claim for the week, all that stuff will be set with the roster code. So you can just copy and paste your roster code into share it with somebody, whoever you're playing with, and they can just paste the roster code and they will set up the new roster. So that's an easy way to share it if you're not playing with Steam Play Together. So let's go ahead and take a look at a battle real quick and see what how that sort of works. So let's go ahead and go with yeah, there will be a graveyard, there will be a cemetery. Yeah, little things like that we will have in here. Oh shoot, I forgot. We are actually called the Swarm. I just did the random name. So we're called the Swarm. So my team's actually the Swarm. We're the Swarm Shield. So I just randomized. So let me go ahead and click Swarm. Where is the Swarm? Where are we? Oh, Swarm here. We're playing Rebirth Tribe. Okay, let's take a click at that. All right, now this is a new pre-game screen. I just put this in today, so I need to put like teams up here, make it prettier. It's not super pretty, but it shows you can highlight any of your players, and so it's going to show where they're all going to line up, right? So here you got your guys here and how they're lining up, and how these guys are going to line up. So I've got a lot of ranged guys in the battle, so my front line's going to have to try to stay alive. I don't have a lot of defenders, so we'll see how this works. They've got a lot of tanky guys, so we'll see how this goes. So let's go ahead and start this battle and see what happens here. So you can see we have our little backgrounds. Those backgrounds will change. And so Spectre attacking Omnimentor. So you'll see this, and oh, there Braden gets a hit. So Spectre's going down. And this guy, he attacked his friend, and that's because he was confused. So if you have a question about any of the buffs, so you can highlight them. It tells you what the buffs are and what they do, but sometimes it's hard in the game. And you can also click here, and it explains all the debuffs and buffs and what they do. That's how they go. I didn't intend to put a gnome in there. So no, the way it'll happen is that you'll just paste your code. So the code is like it's about depending on what all stuff you have in there, it might be like a couple hundred letters. It's a code. You hit copy, and then you can paste the code into Discord or into some kind of Google Doc or whatever you want to do. And then I can copy that code and paste it into my game. And so it just uses Windows. It uses the Windows clipboard. So you can copy and paste between any kind of anything you have, right? And it'll copy and paste that code. So instead of posting a picture, you just post your code. And that way also it kind of hides it. It's a little less spoilery because that code will show, it's hard to read the code. And so it'll be just, so it'll just have that on there. Actually, I can show you what the code looks like in just a minute after we finish this little battle. So let's let this keep going. And so you can see here, this is the number of players that are remaining. I need to make this top panel a lot prettier. There'll probably be like running stats and stuff that I'll probably have up here. But it's functional, has what's going on down here. And so it sort of rotates. You can see this guy just summoned. Now the summons look ugly, but we got some summons. He summoned a turret. This guy summoned a wolf. Looks like a pig, but it's a wolf. And so you can sort of see them attacking. These are each round. Now, one thing I'll say is that, so you may notice, hey, they're moving. What's going on? So the way this works is turn-based. So that was just turn 1. We're going to move into turn 2 right now. What happens is there's a movement phase where everybody gets to move. And then on each player's turn, what they do is they can take a normal attack action. So that's just a standard basic attack action that's using their main primary weapon. So if they're in range, they can take an attack weapon. And so melees are within basically within 1 foot range. But things that are longer like staves and, here's a halberd, certain weapons, they can reach a distance of 2, so they can reach across and attack across a player. And then, of course, you have your ranged weapons, which most of my guys have over here. We have some bows and that there. A couple of the wands and all, I don't have their graphics in yet. So there are a couple people that look like they don't have a weapon, but they do. If you take a look, they have a weapon there. It just doesn't show it what it is. And then you can take your class action. So, and the class action can be, it depends on the action. It'll either come before or after your basic attack action. And some of those class actions allow you to move. So you will see movement during players' turns, but oftentimes it has no movement involvement. So there's, you won't see anything there. But it'll swap back in. So on their turn, you'll take one single attack action. And if it's not on cooldown, you can take your class action. Some class actions. And so what controls the cooldown is the action itself has different cooldowns. Your power can reduce the cooldown, and some of the actions will use power to do damage if it's a damage sort of action as well. And so that's basically what happens on the turn. And then it's basically turn-based. Everybody takes a turn and does their thing. If a person cannot act on their turn because their class action isn't there, and they can't melee anybody because there's nobody in range, or they can't hit anybody because there's nobody in range, then they will take a rest action, which helps them get back either some energy or some health. They have a chance of getting back some energy or some health. All right, so pop it, and so we'll see here. Omni Melter. All right, my hero just took out a big guy, so Omni Melter's starting off. My little sentinel starting off well. And he's shooting the, let me close that off. He just killed the summons. And Weed Cut gets a hit. Nice. And of course you can speed things up and slow things down on here as you're going. You can sort of watch the battles. And so we flip through each turn. And there's a maximum of 25 turns. If 25 turns pass and nobody has won, then it's a draw. You have to take out everybody or force everybody to run. So if you have one last man standing and they can stay alive, then they could get you a draw still if they can survive. Yeah, well, what they do is most, especially ranged characters tend to target the easiest to kill or the most dangerous. So often they will target the easiest to kill, and the summons are pretty easy to kill, so they tend to target the guys that are easy to kill. They take a look at the overall dodge, durability, and hit points, and I mean constitution of the character, and they tend to target people that are, hey Vec, how's it going? They tend to target guys that are easier to kill. And with it, and so often with melee guys, and it's a little different for the different roles, but melee guys tend to target the most dangerous character, the character with the highest overall, but only if that character is reasonably hittable. So if they've got a choice between one super powerful guy that they can't hit and one kind of lame guy that they can hit, they'll take the lame guy out first because they don't want to waste their attack. So they do a little bit of thinking, so that's what works. Looks like I'm going to win this first fight. My hero Omni Melter did pretty well, taking him down, and we got a pretty easy win. Although we've had some, I know Zero mentioned some of these. Luke and I were starting to play around with a couple games the other day, and we saw one guy, he was like 1 versus 5 at the end, and he almost won. It ended up being a 1v1, and he died right at the end, but he almost won 1v5, so that can happen. Now you can see, now look at this Omni Melter. Look at him. He's got 26 bravery and 28 leadership. Even though we're whooping ass, he's done with this fight, and he's going to start running away already. So that's where their personality plays a big role in this. Also, you keep seeing these things pop up, and I don't know why this isn't popping up down here. I changed the color coding of that. I don't know if you saw that. I did a lot to, now it does color coding a lot better, so you should be able to see. I'll pop up another game real quick in a second. So we have fantasy points here, offensive, defensive fantasy points. So you have all the stats there, and we'll take that. Oh, no wonder my screen is off here. So I'll exit here. So I'm going to pop up another fight real quick, and so you can see. So when we click on here now we have again the lineup, these two guys battling each other. And you can see the new, I like the fiends. I think the fiends look pretty good. A couple of them need to be worked on. So now you can see, Vec, that I really made these. I made these much brighter and much clearer. And of course, now one thing this is a bug. I need to fix this. Yeah, I need to fix it. I thought this was fixed, but these guys, their clothing should be matching their faction's clothing, and it's not. For some reason, it's matching the attacker's faction clothing. That's a bug I need to fix. But their clothing should also match their faction as well. So for some reason, it's not matching their faction. But they have these colors underneath that helps to determine which is which. Plus, they always face the same side when they're attacking in the battle as well. So they're always, the attacking team will always be fighting this way, and what we call the defending team will always be fighting this way as well. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this one up, though, as we see the fight go on. And you can see the little dialogue now. For some reason, there it pops up. So also another thing you can see here is that you'll be seeing these dialogue options. Of course, those are buffs and debuffs. They pop up over here. Those are all related to personality when they show up, and what when they're going to show up, and what they're going to do. Oh, somebody just got killed. So we'll finish this off, and it looks like the brew is going to win, probably, and they do. All right, so we'll exit this. And so there we have it, and so we have that battle done. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to simulate all battles real quick. And the simulation is a lot slower than it will be. I have a lot of debuggers running in the background, so the simulation speed should be a decent amount faster, and I will make it even, I'll try to push it even faster than it goes right now. So the simulation should be quite a bit quicker, but there's a lot of debugging in the background, so I haven't turned that off yet. So the sims are semi-slower than they likely will be at the end. And so there you got it. So it ends the week, and so it kind of summarizes the winners. And I'll probably make this look a lot better, but there you have it. A exit here, and now we go to the newspaper, and it goes on again with a lot of different events that happen. So we won't go through each one, but it talks about different things that can happen. There's Blood King events that happen, and so these are bad things that cause damage to folks. And this has to do with getting ire of the Blood King. When you win matches, you gain ire. When you tie, you gain even more ire. So the way to get the most ire is to have a tie. So the Blood King hates ties. So it doesn't like people that turtle. And so the more ire you have, the more likely you will be targeted by the Blood King each week. And so that's the point of ire, to avoid these bad events that occur each week. And so this talks a couple of things that happen in the locker room. We have some standings. Here's free agent claims. So you can see the AI claimed a bunch of free agents. Jags, I tried to claim Jags, but Jags did not choose me. Jags decided to go to the team, to Bear, but they're all the free agent claims this week, and so you can kind of read the news and do all that sort of stuff as you go. All right, so you see the week, a couple things that you'll see here. One thing you'll notice that players get exhausted. So after a battle, each player rolls, and it's based on their power and their stamina. So it's a power and stamina roll, and if they fail that roll, then they will be exhausted. So they will be forced to sit out battle if that occurs. And so you can flip through teams and take a look, and you can see some players are injured. Now, if they're injured, they can still be in a battle, and this only shows curable injuries that'll go away with rest. You can get permanent injuries. And so if it's a permanent injury, then that won't ever go away. There are certain special events that could make it go away, but in general, it won't easily go away. So they have injuries. Injuries are going to affect their stats. But if you sit out of a battle, then you get to roll to see. Yeah, that's always been in there. It's complicated. Every time I redo this, I have to re-put in that color thing, and I forget to do it every time. But if they sit out of a battle, then they have a chance to heal their injuries. If they fight in a battle, they will not heal injuries. So it may be good to bench guys if you don't want them in a battle, if you want them to heal up. But they're not guaranteed to heal each week. Nagging injuries heal pretty easily, pretty good chance. I think it's like 75% chance they'll heal. And then severe injuries, though, a low chance they'll heal, about 25% chance they'll heal. So you may, if you do rest them, it may be a while before they get their injury healed. So you just basically play a waiting game if you bench them. And so you can see each of the teams has different numbers of guys that need to rest. And so the AI will automatically sub folks in. And then the same free agents are still out there. You can still claim the free agents and all, just again each week. But and each faction has their own free agent claims and things they can do. And you can always again set these off. Oh, the last thing to talk about a copy roster code. So I hit here copy roster code, and then I'm going to, just so you can see what it looks like, I paste the roster code into Steam, into YouTube, and so you could just paste this roster code into Discord or somewhere else, and you will be able to then whoever's the GM, whoever's running the league, the commissioner, can just paste that roster code, and it will. So like, actually, let me just do this as an example. I'm gonna paste it into Word here. So blank document, I'm gonna paste this into Word here. So I copied my roster code. Now I'm gonna say OmniMelter, I want to clear your position lock. I want to put Seesh as a bench, and there we have it. And Mythar, I'm gonna unbench Mythar. There we go. Now when I copy and paste my roster code, it goes back. And oh, you know what? I don't think I have the battle position right now in the roster code. I need to go fix that. But I need to get that, the roster code. I just put this in today, so I forgot to put that in there. So it puts them back in that sort of bench position. So, we'll go through. I have to still mess with this code, but that's the whole point of this, is for it to sort of remember what changes you make to your team. And that way, when you paste it, it'll look for all those folks, and it'll make all those changes and set up the team based on how you had it. So that'll make life easier for online leagues and all. And the code will get pretty big. It'll be a pretty big code once you have a ton of changes. The code will be kind of a big, maybe a couple hundred letters, but it's pretty easy to copy and paste and use that when you want to. So other things, we have the free agency. I didn't set anything up. I guess I probably should have done that. But free agency is pretty similar to the way it is in Brutal Ball. The only difference is that you are given 4 choices. You automatically, wait, no, it's 3. It's still 3 choices, but yeah, it's very similar. It's slightly different, looks a little different, but it's almost the same thing. It works very similar to the way it does in Brutal Ball. But there is no free agent period. When you drop, any players that are dropped in free agency at the end of the season will go into the free agent claims list area. And then everybody can bid on the players. And it'll be based on who gets who, will be based on your salary rank and your appeal rank, and also sort of preferences and popularity and other things that'll be part of that. So you can put in claims for multiple players, and then it will decide on who the player goes to based on things like your salary rank and your appeal rank. So that's how that will work. The off season, or the claiming free agency, will be the same once the season starts. So there'll be a free agent claiming period before the draft. So there'll be an extra free agent claiming period before the draft, and then you'll do the draft like you do a normal draft. And so that's all set up. About the only other thing that like major thing that needs to be added, other than, bug fixes and really balancing is going to be the biggest thing, and of course graphical stuff. But the other big thing that I really need to add will be at the end of the season will be like an all-star fight against the Blood King. And so the Blood King is going to have all-stars, going to have his own army of the dead that have been killed during the season or past seasons. And then he's going to request or force all-stars to fight him. And so players from teams will be forced to come into a battle at the end of the season, picking some of the top players from each of the teams. And then at the end of that, there will be some rewards for, if the all-stars win, there will be rewards for those players. And then, of course, if they lose, there might be some detriment. So that's the big thing, is I'm really trying to decide on what those rewards will be. They could be like special weapons, or a lot of experience points, or however we're going to do it for them to level up. So there will be lots of different ways for them to do that as well at the end of the season. So there you have it. Everything's pretty set up. We will have you can use modded. Right now, I just went ahead and imported a lot. I didn't import all of them. I imported the ones that were kind of a little more maybe plausible fantasy. But we'll be putting a lot more logos in. You also will be able to mod in your own logos. That's already there. I just haven't activated it. But you'll be also load up modded logos as well into the game. So all that will be in and ready to go. Any questions? Any other questions? But hopefully that kind of gives a quick rundown, so that way people can kind of pop on if they want a little quick rundown of how the game works. It'll be here for them to take a look and get a little idea. I am going to build a tutorial before release. I'm hoping to get the the early access on Steam at the end, somewhere around in the end of the summer, and then probably with the full complete game out by the end of the year is my goal, my plan. We'll see how that works. But we're getting along pretty good, and so it'd be nice to have a league going and be able to talk with you guys and get some feedback, so we can sort of make the game a little bit better as we go. So thanks for joining. I will see you guys all on the Discord, and have a nice evening all. Adios.